Hi there. Today we're going to talk about the SpectroVis and LabQuest and how you can use them. So the first thing you need to do is to hook the LabQuest up to power. If you look around the various sides of the instrument, you'll see a number of different ports for hooking up instruments, but what you really want is over here on the left side. So you're going to plug that in right there. Press the power button. Usually takes a while to get set up. The next thing you want to do is you want to get the SpectroVis hooked up to the LabQuest. So the square connector goes into the SpectroVis, and then this connector is a regular USB connector, and there's only one USB port. The rest of these are for a different sort of port, so make sure you plug it in back. So right now, the default is the mode comes up as full spectrum. You can see the mode up in the upper right-hand corner. You can change that mode at any time by just tapping on that mode, and we'll do that in a little bit. But the first thing we want to do when we're working with the spectrophotometer, no matter what sort of spec we're working with, is to blank the instrument. And so what we're going to do, here's my waste quote-unquote beaker, and I have a Falcon tube of DI water, and so I'm going to rinse this off. Pour stuff into the cuvette, empty it into the waste. Pour stuff into the cuvette, empty into waste, and then pour stuff into the cuvette. And now I'm going to take a Kim wipe. I'm going to wipe this off. Now, importantly, when you look at the cuvette, there will be a side that has an arrow on that. I will show you that some other time, but you can kind of see right here, there's a little arrow. And in this particular case, we want that arrow to face this arrow. So that's going to go right here. So what you want to do is you want to hit sensors, and then the very bottom option that is not grayed out is calibrate. So we're going to click on that. And then it says USB spectrometer. You have to kind of be patient with these because they're a little slow. So now it says that it's going to wait for the lamp to warm up, and that takes 90 seconds. If you've had this plugged in for a while because you've been setting up other things, then you can go ahead and skip the warm up. But since I just plugged this in, I'm going to let it warm up all the way. So now that the warm up is complete, it says to place a blank cuvette in the device. That means a cuvette with the blank inside it. It's not the best wording. So I'm going to click Finish Calibration. And when it says Calibration completed right here, you can hit OK. And now you're ready to measure. So what we need to do now is let us get our sample. So I'm going to empty the DI into my waste. And this is my sample. Actually just grabbed a bit of Powerade for this. And I'm going to rinse the cuvette again. You should always do this just to get rid of the leftovers of whatever was in the cuvette before. So there's one. There's two. And now there's the third one. And again, you want to wipe that down well with the Kim wipe. Once again, I'm going to look for the arrow, which is right here. So now let's just get that in. And when you want to measure something, there's this little play button right here in the left corner. And you're just going to click on that. And this is what our spectrum looks like. You can see it's really low down because it's not a very concentrated solution. But if you press stop, what it's going to do is it's going to resize things so that it pretty much fills the y-axis or close to it. So you can see here the wavelength of maximum absorption is 391.8. And so what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the home screen, which is always up in this left corner, and we're going to change our mode. Now, our mode, we want to change to events with entry. And click OK. Now, it asks you if you want to save the data. We'll talk about saving data again. But it tells you that you have unsaved data even if you save the data. So I'm going to discard it. Now you see that it's gone to a single wavelength here, and 391.8 was our wavelength of maximum absorption. Now if you're doing multiple samples, you would want to keep this wavelength of maximum absorption because your other samples might have different wavelengths. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on this, change wavelength. This allows you to set the wavelength, and let's say that you want to make it 392. Okay. It never gets quite on, so in this particular case we're at 391.8, but you can see it's 0.458. Now we have not clicked play or stop. You can keep it in this mode and it will just automatically change, but if you want to enter, remember this is events with entry mode, then you're going to hit play and then you'll hit stop, and the first event should show up as 0.457. And then what you can do is, if you have a slightly different sample, so I'm going to just, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a diluted sample. Now we can press play again, and it should give us a lower sample, 0.215, because I diluted it by about half. Now, while you can record things this way, the best way to record single wavelength measurements is actually in your lab notebook. And even if you save to here, you should have it written in your lab notebook. When it comes time to shut down, what you're going to do is, of course, empty out your cuvette into the waste, rinse it with DI water before you put it away. And you don't have to completely dry inside, just shake it out a bit and let it air dry in the box. Unplug your SpectroVis and coil the cable up neatly and put it back in the box. And then you're just going to hit the power button. Hopefully you have all your data saved. And you can unplug now. Okay, cat, move, move, move. Okay. Okay, cat, you gotta move. Okay.